Welcome, everyone. Happy Saturday and War Eagle. And as you know, it is Screw Alabama Week. Let me go ahead and bring on my good co-host, Mr. Justin Hicks.
Howdy.
How you doing? It's been a good week, I guess you could say. Any week that Alabama's about to be upset is always a good week. So, let me go ahead and we'll go ahead and get the day started. We'll go ahead and go over some of last week's games. We ain't gonna go over all of them. We'll talk about some of the bigger ones that they had. First one I'm going to talk about, of course, is Alabama and Kentucky. Alabama hanging 63 on the Wildcats. Kentucky only had a field goal. Jones was 230 passing yards in this. I'm pretty sure everybody knew that Kentucky probably didn't stand a chance. I said last week that Bama was probably going to hang 60 on them. I really thought Kentucky would have put up a little bit more of a fight and maybe score 20 or so on them.
It's Kentucky, man. Kentucky, Bama. I mean, no contest this year. That's the one consistency this year in college football. Alabama keeps rolling until maybe today.
Until today, it will not happen. After today, they'll have a loss on their column and they'll drop down to number 5 in the nation. Next up, you had number 9 Indiana and Ohio State. Ohio State does get this one done, but by the scream of their nose, 42-35 over Indiana. And if I'm not mistaken, Indiana won last night, right? Was it Indiana? No, that wasn't Indiana. That was Iowa State I'm thinking of. Never mind. Next,
they play today. Sorry.
They play today. Okay. Next up, you have number 6 Florida at Vanderbilt. Florida wins this one 38-17 over the Commodores. Speaking of the Commodores, a little bit of history that they're going to have coming up. They're going to have the very first ever female kicker for a Power 5 school. I'm pretty interested to see how that plays out. Some people like the idea. Some people hate the idea. Me personally, I'm just kind of curious of how it's going to go down. I don't know. To me, it's one of those lines that you don't want to walk too thin because people will call you sexist. But it's also one of those things that I think of a 300-pound lineman nailing this poor girl. I mean, that's the only image that goes on in my mind. But if she plays soccer, so she's got some kind of damn toughness to her. Play soccer. Soccer is pretty brutal itself.
It is, man. It's very sport. It's one of the, it's one of the most when you get to watching it. It's up there with football.
Yeah, it's up there with football.
American football, I guess. But it's interesting. I just hope that line protects her. It is Vanderbilt, so
yeah, they played a little bit better against Florida than I actually thought they would. Trask still had 383 passing yards. I think that's your Heisman winner this year. I just don't see. The more I watch him, the more I'm starting to believe he's just got a little bit of an edge over Jones.
Those are the two. I didn't good Mac Jones was till I looked at his numbers last night, but still Trask. It's going to be tough. I forget the touchdown. How many touchdowns he got now? It's in the 30s, right?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's insane.
Touchdown to interception ratio for both guys is awesome. Mac is, I think, 18 touchdowns, receptions, 77% completion percentage. And I didn't even look up Kyle, or Trask, but he's phenomenal, man. This year, it's really Florida's back officially.
Yeah, I bet you Florida fans are happy about that. It's been some years since they've really been up in the mix, especially in the top 10, and actually be a competitor. They was always still one of those teams that you had to fear when you played them because they was Florida. So if you went to the swamp and played them, whether how high you was ranked, you had to be really, really good prepared. Next up, we had the Bearcats and Central Florida fans. Bearcats get it done 36-33 over the once proclaimed national champions who thought they could play Power 5 schools. I will give them hell to the day they die about that.
Well, it's kind of deserved because
real deserved. They had Big Mouse, man, for a couple of years. Like them Central Florida fans come out of everywhere. Like I didn't even know there was that many Central Florida fans. They were all over football pages.
Well, they were being here, West Virginia, obviously not gonna, or Marshall, they're not gonna be in any kind of playoff consideration. So you kind of want to root for the Cinderella until Cinderella don't act like Cinderella no more. And they're hockey and we want Bama signs and we can beat it and all that.
Alabama would have killed them that year.
Oh, for sure.
Next up, I know who that team I think we were trying to think of, Justin. It was BYU. BYU's at number 8, and I think they got left out of the playoffs or on the what they think the list is going to look like anyway.
The first official college football, I guess they are 8th. They only have one game remaining, I'm pretty sure, and they've got to play all their games. So I mean, we'll get into that in a little bit, I guess, but I just don't see how they've destroyed everybody, Tommy.
I mean, they hung 66 on North Alabama. I know North Alabama's on a big school, but it's just impressive they still hung 66 on them. BYU's one of them schools that do kind of get overlooked every year because of the conference they're in and who they play and that kind of thing.
They're the independent, I think, and that's what I hate though. Notre Dame is affiliated with the ACC. This is the first time they play football for a conference championship. Yet they get the love mostly, and BYU doesn't. I don't know. I just, especially this year, this is a year I feel like if you're playing all your games or as many as possible, I think they're like, I don't know, 8-0, 9-0, whatever. They've played pretty much every game, and Ohio State is out today. You know, they may Ohio State may go 6-0 if that. You know, and I just don't think it's. I don't know. The college football committee really needs to look at it. It's nobody's fault. It's a pandemic, but BYU's been pretty exciting to watch. In every game.
This is the argument that some people have about the way the playoffs are set up. You're still leaving people out that probably needs to be getting in. That's why I made the suggestion of I think every conference champion should get in automatically, no matter how shitty their conference is. Then if they play through the playoffs and win them out and win, then there's no griping. No one can gripe.
Absolutely.
It don't matter what your record is. I don't care if your record's 3-9 or something like that in your little shitty conference. If you won it, you should be able to at least make a run at the playoffs. You know, I mean, that's pretty much how it works in Pro Bowl also. I mean,
yeah. That's why 9 times we get the best teams in pro sports. I don't know, kind of baseball too, but every pro sport, it's the best team wins 9 times out of 10. And college is the one. Yeah, I mean the best team, Clemson and Bama. Yeah, they're good, but I don't know. Would something crazy happen if, say, USC and BYU? Probably not, but at least they get their chance in these smaller schools. You know,
I just think it would be fair to give them a shot. I mean, it's how do you win your damn conference and then you're not even looked at for a playoff picture? Like I just never understood that. Which I do get some people's argument on it, and this was my argument. Probably even I had the same argument years ago when the playoffs first started, and you had that first year and they was wanting to expand it. You know, the first thing I said was the same thing a lot of people say. Well, if you put 6 in there, then they're going to bitch they want 8. And if you give them 8, then they're going to bitch they want 12. The next thing you know, we got 24 teams in the playoffs, you know, or something like that. I mean, you got to give them something, man. I mean, to me, it's such an unbalanced, unfair playing field. It's already bad enough that teams like Coastal Carolina and Liberty struggle to win games or struggle to get recruits. If you was to put them where they would actually have a shot, it would probably help the recruiting base. It probably would help football. It probably would make a lot of these small teams. What it is that I know what it is. We all know that Ohio State and Alabama and the Miamis and all these kind of teams like this pull in so much revenue and so much money. They don't want to chop their damn legs out from underneath them. Because that's how the NCAA at the end of the day is all about dollars, just like anyone else. So they don't want to take all the money away from these schools that they've had this relationship with all these years is all it is. So let's move along. You had UCLA and Oregon. I believe you picked UCLA in this one, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. If I had a bet and picked the spread, I would have won, but I didn't in reality. They played pretty tight, man. Chip Kelly, I wonder if he's bringing them back, you know. That.
It'd be nice. So there's not been nobody making no noise in the pack for years except for Oregon. They're about the only team. No one at USC's not good anymore. The Washington teams are bad. Arizona teams are bad. I mean, pretty much all you got is California and Oregon. I mean, that's pretty much it. Next up, you had Mississippi State at number 13 Bulldogs. Mississippi State actually played a good game in this one. 24-31, the Bulldogs win. I honestly thought this would be a blowout on Georgia's part because I thought Mississippi State would come out with, which they still only had, I think it was 21 rushing yards. But they still passed for 401 yards on a very tough Bulldog defense. They never should have been to put up 400 yards on because all they do is pass. I mean, you might get one run in 20 plays. I mean, I actually thought Georgia would be so prepared for that. It would be a shit ton of interceptions, and Georgia would hang like 50 on them, but they didn't. Mississippi State stuck around, but they couldn't get it done. You also had Oklahoma State, number 14, Oklahoma State, number 18, Oklahoma. Oklahoma State drops this one 41-13. The Sooner Boomers get it done, 301 passing yards in the air. That was no shocker there. Oklahoma State does not look like the Oklahoma State from the past couple of years. They're not looking as good as they was. I don't know. I think they lost a bunch of players, though, if I'm not mistaken.
They always peter out, it seems, until it's, or well, when it gets time, I guess, and they've pretty much shot themselves in the foot for the Big 12 championship yet again. Oklahoma State catbird seat now with I guess Iowa State and to play in that Big 12, but that's why I hate every Big 12 team. You know this, but it's. I feel sorry for the fan base, though, because this is yet another year. They look pretty solid up until a certain point, and then bam, they're trying to run a 2-quarterback system. They have that run.
Oklahoma State's one of those teams that start out hot and then go cold.
Yeah.
And Auburn's one of those teams who start out cold and get hot at mid-season when it don't damn matter and you done lost 4 games.
Some teams are like, I mean, that's how it is. Seriously,
Auburn needs a preseason is what they need, and then we would probably win a couple of championships because by then we would start warming up. You had the game of the week: Appalachian State and Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina wins this one again, 34-23 over Appalachian State. They're number 5. Well, this week's rating they had them at 15. I think they moved up.
Who's that?
Coastal Carolina.
They moved back actually during the college foot again. We discussed that all day. I think they're sitting at 20 now, which it is what it is. Texas actually was 17 with their 3 or 4 losses, so that was funny to see them lose yesterday. But yeah, they moved back. I guess it comes down to who you play and all that nonsense, but. Appalachian State's no joke, though. They've been a good football program for many years now.
Yeah. We're going to take our first break of the Screw Alabama week, and we will be right back.
$1989. We started something special and brought the greatest rivalry in college football home. The Iron Bowl is what we came here for. To be a part of this history, this tradition.
Give the ball up and over and in. Touchdown Auburn.
The game of all games. And in this game, every second counts.
There goes Davis. Oh my God. Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl in the most unbelievable fashion you will ever see.
You feel that?
He might go all the way. He's got one man to beat at the Alabama 30. He does. He's going to run for a touchdown.
That's Auburn, baby. Ever to conquer, never to yield.
Touchdown!
We are a spirit that is not afraid. We do it for our family. We do it for our fans. Because
Auburn fans love Auburn.
Got Watson, Kirkton, touchdown Auburn! Touchdown Auburn! Johnson, touchdown Auburn! And he's right in! Go crazy, Cadillac! Oh my God!
Eagle, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that'll get you blood a pumping. I watched that last night, and I come to realize there were so many guys that's not with us and it's in that video. Pat Dye's dead. Lutzenkirchen's dead. The announcer that you heard that was calling the games, the big Go Crazy Cadillac game, the run back, he passed away. Him and his wife passed away in a car accident. I believe that was
last year, 2 years.
2 years ago. It really sucks, man. Lutzenkirchen, I think, would have been probably the top tight end in the professional level right now if he would have survived. And what sucks so much about Lutzenkirchen is Lutzenkirchen died his first year after being drafted. Never even got to play a pro game.
He was so fun to watch. He was a part of that national championship team, I believe, right? The year. And, he did so many things the tight ends in the NFL don't do, I guess. He's great at blocking, and he could do a lot of things. I was a fan of his. Like I said, I've been a fan of Auburn football in the past. I kind of whore around a little bit, but now that I know you an Auburn fan, I'm getting into them a little bit more. But yeah, like you said, so many got Pat Dye.
Hell, I had a damn North Carolina boy last year that was watching every damn game. He started at the beginning of the season with me. Next thing I know, I was missing games, and he was missing. Are you seeing this shit? I'm like, no, man, I'm at the store. He's like, how are you missing this game? Well, because it's Tulane, man. You know what I'm saying? I had to go to the store.
No, but you mentioned Pat Dye, one of the best coaches, and I mean he is the coach in that program's history, correct?
Yep. He is the man. He is actually the guy that had the hand in hiring Gene Chizik. He had the hand in hiring Gus Malzahn. Actually, to be honest with you, Gus Malzahn's hire was Bo Jackson and Pat Dye's. That was their pick. Chizik, I think, was all him because I don't think no one's seen anything in Chizik but him. Like he was the only one. I don't think no one wanted his ass there. I don't regret it now, but that was a lot of wasted money for one national championship. That's all I'm saying.
I remember when Chizik got the job. I think it was Charles Barkley, big Auburn guy. He wanted Turner Gill at that time. He was Buffalo. He's huge. Had turned Buffalo's program around that year. Well, Turner wasn't getting looked at, African American coach, and people were like, "Oh, give him a shot." And I'm not knocking Turner at all. I was like, man, maybe he should have got the Auburn job. He went to Kansas, and that's the one job you don't take in college.
Yeah. He took that for money. That's the only reason Les Miles is up right now is to get a paycheck.
Yeah, I expect Les Michigan.
Yeah. I know Charles Barkley wanted us to hire Charlie Strong at that time because Strong had a kick-ass record in South Florida. He was winning. They was wanting us to hire him, and of course, Barkley pointed out a very good point at that time. I would never label the hiring that goes on at Auburn borderline racist, but it is kind of crazy that you hired a guy from Iowa State who won 2 fucking games that year, and you overlooked a black head coach who was almost undefeated at South Florida.
Yeah.
And that's at South Florida. It's damn hard to recruit down there with Miami down there near you, and you got Florida down there near you, and you got Florida State down there near you. If you can put together a team at South Florida, Central Florida, you're probably a pretty good coach.
Oh, absolutely.
Looking back now, this is why Charles Barkley needs to stick his ass to basketball because he was dead wrong about Charlie Strong.
Yeah. At the huge programs, I think he's an Alabama assistant coordinator or something.
He's one of those damn I forgot what you call it. Whatever that damn job is. Basically what he does is he sits in the back and takes notes is basically what he does.
I do back because I love Charlie Strong still. When he went to Texas, it was hard to root against Texas, but I managed.
Out of his defense, Texas has been falling apart. Don't make a damn who you put over there. They've not been able to get that program back off the ground for shit.
I was about to say, man, it has been god awful since Mac left. Really, since that Bama championship, that first Bama championship with Nick Saban, they haven't gotten it together at all. And
they still hearing footsteps over that game, ain't they?
That's what it is. They don't want none.
And the bad thing is, Texas would have won that game if they wouldn't have lost their starting quarterback. I'm sorry, they would have won that one. That was just a bad, unfortunate event. Lose their starting quarterback, and then that's what helped build the Alabama dynasty. It was that game. So it really pisses me off. Next up, you had USC, who was number 20 at Utah. They beat Utah 33-17. You also had Liberty and North Carolina State. Liberty was 21. Liberty finally drops a game. North Carolina State beats them 15-14. You had Tennessee and Auburn. Auburn like a golly whomping of an ass whooping, I feel like, on Tennessee, 30-17. I actually thought that game was going to be closer than that the way Auburn's been playing. You also had, let's see, if there's not top 25, I'm not worried about those games.
Well, there was the one play, the 100-yard pick six.
Yeah, Smoke Monday.
I wanted to hear you say his name.
Coolest name in college football sports. Smoke Monday. Love that shit. I don't know who thought to name him Smoke Monday, but it's like one of the coolest damn names.
It really is. I want to name my first child that or something now. I don't know.
Smoke Monday. Need to name it Ha Ha Jr. or something. Ha Ha. Clinton Ha Ha Jr. or something. One of the very few, one of the Alabama players is still doing good in the pros as far as I know.
Yeah.
You had New Mexico and Utah State. USU wins this one 41-27. And you had the game I watched yesterday, which was Notre Dame and North Carolina. Number 2 Notre Dame, number 19 North Carolina. Notre Dame wins this one 31-17 over the Tar Heels. I got my hopes up because I can't stand Notre Dame, and North Carolina was looking really good at the first half of that game, and then the second half, you could tell that Notre Dame went there and made some adjustments and then kind of adjusted to them, and they just never could get back really in the end zone after that. So you also had Ohio State and Texas. Ohio State beats Texas 23-20, and as we had talked before, and we'll go ahead and do this session now just because we're on this game.
As your body grows big, your mind must fly.
Usually we talk about games of the past, but I'm going to talk about Ohio State because Iowa State, just because simple fact, for the first time in school history, they have beat Texas and Oklahoma in the same year. Now, Iowa State was number 13, I believe, before this game. They might actually move on up. They've only got, one loss this year?
They have, I want to say one. It could be two, though, because they're sneaky programs. But, yeah, they're getting love, and deservedly so. Matt Campbell took that job and has just changed Iowa State into, I'm not saying a national powerhouse, but truly a Big 12 powerhouse. And it's if I had to pick one team to hate the least in the Big 12, it would be them probably. Even though I still don't like them, obviously. But like you said, their football program has never been great.
Right.
Kansas, and finally they're getting a little bit of national spotlight.
Well, they're mostly a basketball school anyway. So next up, you have number 15 Oregon and Oregon State, as you said, the Civil War rivalry. Is that what they call that one?
Yep.
41-38. Oregon State beats Oregon. Oregon will probably drop out of the top 25, I figure now, which makes me smile. I don't care a damn about Oregon.
Thing. I honestly used to, and I know you just adjust to that Auburn hat, that national championship years ago. I like Chip Kelly. I still like Chip Kelly, but Oregon, man, I don't know. They're just not a legit. Not knocking.
Let's put it this way: they showed me just how stupid they are when they called into the Paul Feinbaum song before that national championship game. You had an Oregon fan, I remember, and I still remember. I don't remember nothing no one else said in that game, but I remember what this one particular guy said because it was the most dumbest comment I've ever heard come out of anybody's mouth. The guy said, and I quote, "Why would you want to go play at Auburn? Why wouldn't you want to play at Oregon? Because in Oregon, we have nothing but beautiful wildlife and all this kind of stuff." He's talking about the nature scene up in Oregon. And Paul Finebaum just starts laughing. He was like, "Do you not realize that Alabama has some of the most biggest beautiful scenery in the country, and the best pro comes in here every year and has tournaments? Like, what the hell do you think Alabama? What do you think Alabama is? Do they think? I don't know if the guy thought Alabama was like a big city or what he thought it was, but
I was going to say I've never been to Alabama, but known people that have from West Virginia to there. They love it, man. They hate coming back home, and we're the mountain mama. But I mean, you guys, I've heard so many good things about just the state in general, the people. So it's a lot like West Virginia, just way bigger and a much better.
I'll say the people are nice, the scenery is beautiful, but it is a shitty place to live. I'll say that, and I'm from there, and I'll be the first to tell you, if you're not from there and you're visiting there, it probably looks like one of the most greatest pieces of paradise that you ever could think of. But if you had to come down here and go down there and live in your 20s, and you have to look for a job in Alabama and you have to pay rent in Alabama, it is one of the most horrible places to live. The jobs down there don't exist. Rent is through the damn roof. It's got some of the most poorest parts in a state that you would ever want to see. I mean, it's got some real nasty, horrible parts to live in. Shit where you go live out in the country and you're within 20 miles of a store, that kind of crap,
Yeah.
To visit, absolutely. I get the gist to visit, but like even now, like if I went down there probably this summer, I'd be like, oh shit, I almost forgot how pretty it was down here, But then after you're down there for a little while, it's like, okay, now I remember why I moved out of this place. Yeah. And to me, it's always it's the retirement spot. Like if you was going to retire and you wasn't really a beach person, and you didn't really care about like living in Florida or something, Alabama might be the spot to go. But to go down there and actually, to me personally, and live through your 20s and have to work, if you don't have a high education to make killer money down there, you're probably going to struggle a lot because there's not a whole lot in Alabama. I mean, there's just not.
That's the same here, man. Nobody, they'll come for like a bridge day event or something like that.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no jobs here. The rent, it's affordable, but you got to have a job to pay the rent, and that's non-existent.
I look online every once in a while because I'm still part of our yard sale stuff down there, the yard sale groups and stuff. And I'll look on there every once in a while, and there'll be a old beat up ass trailer, like it's about ready to fall down. They want $700 a month for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell, man? And people down there are paying it because that's about what rent goes for down there. You ain't got no choice, and then you ain't got no job like worth the shit. So you're paying $700 a month on a shitty job just for rent. That don't include everything else. So it's terrible, man. We also had Nebraska and Iowa, number 24 Iowa. That is, Iowa wins this one 26-20 over Nebraska. Nebraska still cannot put nothing together this year. I don't know what the hell their deal is. I know they had high hopes because I think they kind of gave him a pass last year because it was his first year at Nebraska, so nobody didn't really expect too much. I think this year they was kind of expecting something, and he ain't put nothing together.
I think we've talked about this, about a 3-year deal, not his contract, but it takes about 3 to 4 years. And I hope for his sake, because there's already rumblings of him being gone. Who are you going to hire to replace him? Just give him one more year, guys. And I may be on here next year the same day and say, give him one more year, guys. But
Gus Malzahn will be up for a coaching job really soon in Nebraska if you're looking for one. I mean, he'll bring that high power offense and run the same play 4 times in a row, even though it don't work. But I mean, hey, he's an offensive genius to hear them tell it. You also had Liberty and UMass. Liberty wins this one 45-0 over UMass. You had Central Florida and South Florida. Damn, I can't talk shit on Central Florida on this one. They win 58-46 over a shitty South Florida team. Let's just point that out.
Yeah.
You also had Wyoming and UNLV. Wyoming wins this one 45-14. UAB and Southern Mississippi was canceled. San Diego State and Fresno State was canceled. Let's see. Let's go ahead and jump into the big boy games. First game I got up on the list is Kentucky and number 6. Oh, I meant last week's. I thought I changed it.
Florida? They play Florida today.
Do they?
Yeah, that's this week.
Okay. Why did I feel like
Well, they played a tough. They played Bama.
Who the hell did Florida play last week? No, that was Kentucky that played. Okay, that's why it threw me off because it was the first game I seen,
Yeah.
and I thought I was still in last week's. Okay, you got Kentucky versus Florida today. And Justin is right. This is this week's at number 6, Florida, 11 a.m. kickoff time, ESPN. Florida should win this one pretty big.
I think so. We mentioned Trask and his phenomenal year. I believe this is a home game also for Florida.
Yep, they're in the swamp.
I hate to say it, but there's really no shot. I really hope Mark Stoops can find another job. I hate to say that, but Kentucky, I think this was the plan all along to get to another bigger Power 5. We'll see. I don't know, but he deserves something a little better because it's hard to get in.
How you doing, Mr. Piers?
Hello, Piers. He's getting his college football fix.
Getting his college football fix, huh?
Hello, Piers. How you doing, brother?
Next up, you got Maryland at number 12, Indiana. Indiana still looking good this year. 11 a.m. kickoff time on ESPN2. I got Indiana in this one.
Yeah, I had a huge Ohio State fan, and I'll be quick about this, but, obviously they lost to Ohio State barely, and she said, what's wrong with Ohio State? I said, well, nothing. Indiana's just really good. They're for real this year. They just had to play Ohio State, and that's their trouble. I think the quarterback, he might have turned it over one time, but he went for like 496, 497 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. So I look for him to be awesome today against Maryland.
Yeah, me too. Maryland, I think, will hang a little bit of points up, but they're not. I think Indiana's defense is just too good. It ends up shutting down Tula's little brother up there. Next, you got Texas Tech and number 23, Oklahoma State. As we talked, Oklahoma State has fell off some this year. That's 11 a.m. kickoff time on Fox. I'm going to go with the Red Raiders in this one.
I am too. I'm starting Henry Columbia. He did very well against us. He's been hit or miss in a few of these games, but, he's pretty comfortable in that offense. And like we said, Oklahoma State kind of peters off at the end of the year.
Next up, we got a game that should be way bigger than what it is, but it's not, unfortunately. You got Penn State at Michigan in the Big House, 11 a.m. kickoff time on ABC. We know that only Notre Dame gets an exclusive NBC games. ABC, I've got Penn State in this one. I think Michigan is still pretty terrible. This will probably be a close game, actually. It probably won't be no blowout game.
I put the battle of the bads. 0-5 Penn State, 2-3 Michigan. If Penn State loses, if Penn State goes 0-6, okay, with only about 2 or 3 games left to play, you have to fire Franklin, right? This is the worst start in program history.
He's been there, 4 years?
It seems a little bit longer than that. We'll say probably, 4 or 5 years, I'll say.
So, he's had his time to put together a winning program. 4 or 5 years, and you start out like this.
I think it's about 5 or 6, Tommy. But, this was just – they were expected to finish about 3rd, and that's definitely not going to happen. Like, how you going to recruit with an Owen? They've been through – I hate to say it, but the scandal, they did better in the scandal years than they've done this year.
That was pretty damn bad.
Yeah.
I know Penn State fans don't want to talk about that, so we'll move along. Trust me, Penn State fans, it ain't just you; it's all of us. That was a bad look for football completely. We hate it. We hated it too, and I was always a Joe Paterno guy too. So,
yeah, same.
Next up, you got Northern Illinois at Western Michigan. I've not watched either one of these teams. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say Western Michigan.
Yeah.
Bowling Green in Ohio. Oh, my God.
The Maction again. That's what
I guess Bowling Green. Bowling Green, I watched one of their games not long ago. They looked okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kent State at Buffalo. God, they got some crappy games in a row here. Not even no fillers in between. 11 a.m. kickoff time, CBS SN. I guess I'll go with Buffalo in this one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't watch every single team. Like now, when I was a teenager, I used to because I had all the time in the world. But now I don't have that time. So I've not watched some of these smaller teams in a while. Like you got next up, you got Ball State at Toledo. I'll go Ball State.
Precious when you get older, you know.
Oh my God, it's like I'm running on low all the time, even when I've had 12 hours of sleep. Here's a game that North Carolina State at Syracuse. Usually I would pick Syracuse in this one, but North Carolina State just beat Liberty, and Liberty's been looking pretty good, and Syracuse has been looking pretty shit all year, and every time I pick them, they don't never win. So I'll go North Carolina State in this one just so Syracuse can get a win.
Yeah, hopefully the juju, the bad juju rubs off or whatever. North Carolina State's look pretty good. I think they've only lost 3 games. Pretty good program this year.
Yeah. Next up, you got, we'll skip that game that we're talking about. We'll go to number 20, Coastal Carolina at Texas State. This game's on at 2:00 on ESPN Plus. Damn it. I'm going to go to Coastal Carolina. I've been on the board with them all year. I ain't going to jump off yet with them. So they're still undefeated, correct?
Still unbeaten. They actually, I believe, next week wraps it up for them, if I'm not mistaken. And they would, well, for the regular season at least. And I think they play Liberty. So that's a good one.
I'm actually looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Hey, that could be the game of the week next week with all these. I would kind of wish it was this week.
We're going to skip a couple of these little bullshit games. We're going to go ahead and get to the game of the week, which is number 22 Auburn at number 1 Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And before we dive into that, we're going to take a small little run here to have more of this little bit of a Punk Bama week that we got going on here.
Here we are, the Iron Bowl. The path hasn't been straight, but journeys to greatness never are.
But I'm going to tell you something. I wouldn't swamp this year for any year that I've been at Auburn.
Through adversity comes strength.
I wouldn't swamp it, men, because I've watched you struggle, but I watched you grow up and become men.
With strength comes opportunity.
I watched you become men.
Those before us who had that opportunity seized it. Every second of it. We have that opportunity.
Give the ball up and over and in, I believe. Touchdown. Touchdown, Auburn.
To be respected.
Sanders. Oh, he caught it at the boots and he dived in.
To be remembered.
Go crazy, Cadillac. Go crazy.
To be champions. So here we are, the Iron Bowl.
I don't know exactly what will happen with the technical difficulties there, but it was freezing on my end for some reason.
Bro, it's a great video, man. I love when that was Pat crying, correct?
Yep.
God.
Passion, man. Passion.
That's something I'm not going to say every coach, but that's something a lot of these coaches don't have nowadays. It's unfortunately, it has become a money deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that, money's important. But man, when you see something like that, it really puts it in, perspective, I guess is the right word I'm looking for.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and hit the button. I have to be very, very, optimistic about this game. My only hope is that Alabama comes in as usual, overlooks a very beaten up Auburn team. I don't know exactly what Tank's status is. I don't know if we're going to have him for this game or not. But Auburn has been putting up 150 plus rushing yards for the past 5 games. It's going to be damn hard to rush on that Alabama front line. Alabama is stacked. I think Auburn's going to come out and do what Auburn is going to have to do, which is any other team that has their back against the wall playing the number 1 team in the nation. They're going to have to come out. They're going to have to be persistent, not make no mistakes, and they're probably going to throw a couple of trick plays in there that Alabama's not expecting to try to throw them off balance. To me, Gus and them over there have really got to watch their play calling with Nick in this game. I know Nick's not going to be there, but still, they still got to watch their play calling in this game because Auburn has a bad tendency of running the same play too many times. And if it don't work, they don't change shit. They keep running that same play. Okay.
Nope. Yeah.
This is not Tennessee. You cannot let Alabama get up 17-0 over you. They're going to blow you out. You'll never come back from it. You'll always be in the hole. The only hope that Auburn has, they have to make every possession count. You can't waste no possessions against this team. If nothing else, you got to at least come away with a field goal every possession. Like, it's going to have to be one of those type of games. You're not going to be able to go out there and have 3 or 4 3-and-outs like they usually do, and then score these last 2 or 3 miracle touchdowns in the last 3rd and 4th to take over the lead. If they don't do these things, Alabama's going to hammer them. They'll probably hang big. And this is Alabama and Auburn. Alabama's not going to show no mercy against us. They get ahead. They're going to keep their foot on our throat. So
they have with most teams. I mean,
yeah,
63-3 or 63, whatever the score was last week with Kentucky, for God's sake.
I think the worst beating that we've ever took from them was they hung 40 something on us, 47 or something like that was. That was the biggest beating we ever took. If Auburn's not careful, they could break their own record today. Auburn has got to play football today. They have got to be mistake-free. What worries me the most also about Auburn is our damn defense when it comes to our safeties and our corners. And you got Mac Jones over on the other side that's going to be throwing the ball, and you got these damn get-ass receivers from Alabama. There's a good chance they could burn us for about 600 yards today.
Well, Mac is phenomenal. Like I said, he's definitely probably top 5 quarterback in the nation.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But I guess you got to have faith in also that defensive line. It's how trusting are you of them? Because I've been a fan of Najee Harris's running game so long. I thought last year he was in the draft, and he wasn't. And I was like, why ain't this guy got drafted? Well, he came back to Bama.
Mm-hmm.
If they can keep him at bay and try to get in Mac's face a little bit, make him a little uncomfortable. But here's the thing, though. Alabama, Steve Sarkisian, so far at least, this may be 5 minutes to game time, they say. Nick Saban's passed 17 COVID tests. He's good. But with Steve Sarkisian at the helm, he's not had the greatest record in the college football ranks. I thought he went to the NFL for a little bit, came to Bama, tried to get that Nick Saban rub. The guy's had struggles. We won't talk about the personal stuff, but he's just dropped the ball to me. He's like Lane Kiffin Jr., and that's his hero right there, Lane Kiffin. So there's a chance, man. There really is. I think
Nick Saban's best buddy there, Lane Kiffin. Ask Lane. Lane will tell you. I bet you when Lane got that damn job offer, he didn't even think about it. He's like, hell yeah, get me the hell out of here.
Oh, wow.
Because you could just tell that there would be times that Saban would be on his ass and Lane would just turn around kind of giving him looks like, screw you, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, if we were watching highlights or watching the game or whatever, he'd say, rewind that, because he loves seeing Saban jump Lane Kiffin. was always Lane. It was never, back when they had Kirby and those guys. I don't think he had jump Kirby once. He might have, and Kirby's yelling back, and Lane's just like,
Yep. Lane's like, whatever, dude. I just come here to get my ring and my new job after this. Next up, you have Pittsburgh at number 3, Clemson, 2:30 kickoff time. This one shouldn't be much of a game. I got Clemson in this one big. You also got number 8, Northwestern at Michigan State. Damn, Northwestern's number 8. They've been looking good all year, too.
I wanted to say, it's been many years. I read the article on ESPN, or I don't know how long this may be the first. Northwestern hasn't had over 317 yards in any game, and they're unbeaten.
Wow.
So they kill you slowly and play defense. Just keep scoring or getting 3. And I thought that was, they're not even spectacular looking on the defensive stats. They just, I guess, time of possession, and they're going to try to run down.
That time of possession can be a bitch if they're marching down the field with it, man, and they just running the ball or something and just eating that clock alive. Auburn used to do that.
Yeah, I assume that's what Pat Fitzgerald. I mean, it's going to have to. It's them and Ohio State basically playing for the Big Ten if Ohio State can get these next 2 games played. However, I don't know if that quarterback could throw 5 interceptions or something, but they're going to have to do something different against Ohio State because they're going to be looking to score right out the gate.
Next up, we got LSU at in Texas in College Station against Texas A&M. Number 5, Texas A&M. Why they got a high rating, I don't know, because they're on probation. 6 o'clock kickoff time, ESPN. I'm gonna have to go with Texas A&M in this one. LSU has looked horrible all year long. What do you think?
I'll go A&M. I mean, their only loss was to Bama. I hate the fact they're still ranked. We've talked about this on here and privately. And I love your idea. If you want to put them at 5 or 4 or whatever, put a little asterisk and have another 4 or another 5. And I hate the fact that on the college football playoff countdown or whatever on Tuesdays, they're still in the 5 hole. If you can't play for it, get out of it. That's right. Give somebody, even if it's Florida, which Florida's already in it, but give somebody else that opportunity. At least
I think, that's just how it needs to be done. Because you leave them there that way that it don't hurt the recruiting class, but I just don't really like the fact that they get to take someone's spot while they're on probation. It's very, very stupid.
I guess if the football playoff, they could, if say it's BYU or Cincinnati, I hate to bring them up, but those are the 2 unbeatens I can think of. Say they're sitting at 7 and Texas A&M falls back to 6. Okay, you can leave them at 6, but consider Cincinnati.
Very true. The next ranked game I got up is number 9, Georgia at South Carolina. For those who don't know, Will Muschamp has been fired from South Carolina. Probably some would probably say it's a little bit past due.
Yeah,
get him out of there. As we said before, I love Will Muschamp. He's a great defensive mind, but he's just one of those guys that is not a head coach, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Something got kicked. To go on Tommy's point, I agree. We've talked about that a little bit.
Don't know what happened there, but
talking a second.
my computer decided to just throw me out. I don't know why, because I didn't hit nothing. My arms was zipping up.
But to your point, Will and Kirby, we've talked about a couple of defensive coordinator jobs for him. He's close with Kirby. I believe they both went to Georgia, matter of fact. So this may be his next job. I'll look for Georgia to get it together today. But, man, they've looked so sloppy all year. Since they've looked really bad.
Yeah, they have. They just do they give Coach O another year?
I don't know. That's what I was wondering about that also at LSU. I guess he signed a contract. I don't see any big sexy names popping up, under the radar.
I think you have to leave him there for a minute, but at all honesty, I have a lot of Coach O. I think he's a great guy, but he is not a head coach. I had been saying that since they hired him. I don't give a damn about their national championship ring. I know he did bad at Ole Miss, but he's one of those guys who has all this passion and all this fire, but at the same time, he does not win.
He's like a great associate head coach. That's how he got this LSU job.
Yep.
That's how he got the US. He's great as far as that end goes, but it just seems last year, I feel like, I hate knocking on him, but you could have threw anybody in that position. They were just talented. Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Thaddeus Moore.
They were freaking stacked, man. I mean, I think maybe if they might have left Les alone, that might have been his other ring.
Yeah, could have been.
Too impatient.
They were. I mean, I feel like they still less.
Well, Saban being at Alabama, it's like every team hits the panic button if they're not winning the first year. They start hitting the panic button because I guess everybody wants that Nick Saban type coach. They just ain't gonna get it right now.
No,
LSU had him. They let him slip through their fingers. So
yeah, they did. Give NFL a shot, and he did terrible there and came back.
Very true. That is all we get. We're going to talk about the games today. I will get your take. Who wins between Arizona and UCLA?
Oh God, UCLA. I guess just because I feel like Chip Kelly's getting the program somewhat turned around. But we'll see. Pac-12 is the most confusing conference in college football.
Virginia and Florida State.
Oh God,
it's pretty bad teams, man.
Flip and say heads, man.
Yeah, I'll just go with Florida State in this one, just because I feel like they might have a little bit more talent than Virginia does, but they're just not putting it together. Games that were canceled and postponed, we're going to roll into that. You have Ohio State and Illinois that was canceled. Number 7, Cincinnati at Temple has been canceled. Number 11, Oklahoma and West Virginia has been postponed. Minnesota and number 16, Wisconsin canceled. Man, Wisconsin can't catch a break this year. Number 25, Tulsa. At Houston has been postponed. Louisiana Tech and Florida International has been canceled. Florida Atlantic and Middle Tennessee has been postponed. And Tuesday you will have, we got a Tuesday game on December the 1st. You got Western Kentucky at Charlotte, which probably will end up being postponed or canceled, I bet you.
Oklahoma don't want nothing. They're afraid to lose to the Big Mouth. We've never beaten Oklahoma since we joined the Big 12. But I'm saying, is this a farce? Come on now. Y'all don't want none of the big gold and blue machine.
The big gold and blue machine, he says.
They'll probably rest up their week or play us and win. That I don't expect us to beat OU. But it is what it is.
Right.
Hope some of those games get play, obviously.
Yeah, me too. Well, guys, that's going to about wrap it up. Before we go, I got to say, screw Alabama and the Crimson Tide. Here's hoping that we get it done today so I can rub it into every Alabama's face that I know. War Eagle. And that's going to be about it to wrap it up. Before we go, we're going to run this last commercial break, and I'm going to give you some insight on it, and that's going to be it for us.
The Seven Nation Army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off, taking their time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself at night, 'cause I can't forget. Oh, back and forth through my mind, on a cigarette. And the message coming from my heart says leave it alone.
That is the Revolution. Make sure you tune in tomorrow through Pinfall or the Revolution page. Pre-show starts at 11 o'clock with Mr. Josh, the El Presidente of Pinfall Productions. And at 1 o'clock, we will kick off the show. That's going to be it for us, guys. Y'all have a happy Saturday. I hope your teams win, except unless you're an Alabama fan, you can get screwed. Y'all have a good day, guys.